My name is Amos Katz, American director, and I've been living in Singapore where we shot my film Crossings, and now I live in Abu Dhabi. And I'm very happy to be here for the festival. It's been great. Script-wise, there was a complete script. I mean, we had a dialogue that we worked out. I wrote it obviously in English, which is my language. When the actors arrived in Singapore, I worked with them and they helped me translate to Korean. And then they did some rehearsals for a couple of days in Korean. On set, we stuck to the script, but then I really encouraged them to improvise and also use words and phrasing that they felt comfortable with. I couldn't suggest ways to say things in Korean to them, so I let them really be comfortable in the words. And I said, use whatever words feel right to you for the character. I didn't have any opinion on that. I let them go. So there was a structure of the script. There was basic dialogue points to hit, but a lot of the nice moments actually were improvised moments that they just and out of a language, because I don't speak Korean. That was an interesting process, not speaking the language, but like the characters who are Korean in Singapore and completely out of their comfort zone, and I guess I could relate to that. You know, their situation is that they're in an unfamiliar spot, and I was in an unfamiliar spot making that film with them too. So I guess we shared that kind of exploration. It was a very interesting process. I learned a lot. I learned a lot about working with actors in a language that I don't speak, and that's really fascinating. I recommend to anyone, direct a film in a language that's not yours at all. Like, I don't speak really any Korean. Every day was an adventure on the train. I mean, there was probably more drama behind scenes than in the scenes sometimes. We would travel 4 or 5 hours up to a city in Malaysia where we would jump on the next train back to Singapore to go home for the night because we had to go home. And the first day we got to the new train, and the train pulls in the station, and it's a totally different looking train than the one we just shot on. New, different color. We couldn't shoot because it didn't match our movie at all. So the cinematographer, I asked, point the camera out the window and grab some B-roll of the scenery, because that's all we can do. And I apologized to the extras who came and the actors, because they just basically sat on the train and we went home for 4 hours. We couldn't do anything. Shooting on the train isn't necessarily expensive. All we really had to do was buy our train tickets. And the train tickets in Malaysia were quite inexpensive. So the actual shooting on the train wasn't a great cost. For my production, the actual cost was transportation for the actors to come to Singapore because they were from Korea, transportation for the cinematographer who was from living in New York. So it wasn't spent on the screen. Usually you want your dollar to be seen on screen. Meaning locations, props, costumes, things you can tangibly get return visually with. Our costs were kind of hidden. It was transportation, getting people housing, food. So just the logistics, the camera, we had very, very small lighting kit. We had one light for everything except the last scene where we had 2 lights. So we didn't have a lot of equipment costs.